The fountain of youth is a mystical spring which supposedly restores the youth of anyone who drinks or bathes in its waters. Tales of such a fountain have been recounted around the world for thousands of years, appearing in the writings of Herodotus, in the Alexander Romance, and in the stories of Prester John. For a similar waters also feature prominently among the people of the Caribbean during the age of exploration. These people spoke of restorative powers of the water in the mystic land of Bimini. Based on these many legends, explorers and adventurers looked for the elusive fountain of youth or some other remedy to aging, generally associated with magic waters. These waters might have been a river, a spring, or any other water source said to reverse the aging process and to cure sickness when swallowed or bathed in. The legend became particularly prominent in the 16th century, when it became associated with the Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon, the first governor of Puerto Rico. Ponce de Leon was supposedly searching for the fountain of youth when he traveled to Florida in 1513. Legend has it that Native Americans told Ponce de Leon that the fountain of youth was in Bimini. Herodotus mentions the fountain containing a special kind of water in the land of the Macrobians, which gives the Macrobians their exceptional longevity. These people then, in their turn, questioned the king concerning the term of life and that of his people, and were told that most of them lived to be 120 years old, while some even went beyond that age. They ate boiled flesh and had for their drink nothing but milk. When they showed wonder at the number of their years, they led them to a fountain, wherein when they had washed, they found their flesh all glassy and sleek, as if they had bathed in oil and scent come from the spring like that of a violet. The water was so sweet, they said, that nothing would float in it, neither wood nor any lighter substance, but all went to the bottom. If the account of this fountain be true, it will be their constant use of water from it, which made them so long-lived. Persian miniatures depicting Kedar and Alexander watching the water of life revive a salted fish. A story of the water of life appears in the Eastern versions of the Alexander Romance, which describes Alexander the Great and his servant crossing the land of darkness to find the restorative spring. The servant in that story is in turn derived from Middle Eastern legends of Al-Qadr, a sage who appears also in Quran, Arabic and Algerian media. Versions of the Alexander Romance were very popular in Spain during and after the period of Moorish rule, and will have been known to the explorers who journeyed to America. These earlier accounts inspired the popular medieval fantasy. The travels of Sir John Mandeville, which also mentions the fountain of youth as located at the foot of a mountain outside Punjab in India. Due to the influence of these tales, the fountain of youth legend was popular in the country Gothic art, appearing, for example, on the ivory cascade with a sense of romances and several ivory mirror cases, and remained popular through the European age of exploration. French 14th century ivory mirror case with fountain of youth. European iconography is fairly consistent, as the iconography painting and mirror case fungus Juventus the fountain of youth. From 2,000 years earlier demonstrate, old people often carried enter and left, sleep, and enter a pool that is as large as the space allows. The people in the pool are useful and naked, and after a while they leave and are shown fashionable dressed in joining a courtly party, sometimes including male. There are countless indirect sources for the tale as well. Eternal youth is a gift frequently sought in myth and legend. And stories of these things such as philosophy stone, universal pantheons, and the elixir of life are common throughout Eurasia and elsewhere. An additional inspiration may have been taken from the account of a pool of Bethesda, where a paralytic man was healed in the Gospel of John. It's possible the interrupted John. The pool is said to be periodically stirred by an angel, upon which the first person to step into the water would have been healed of whatever afflicted him. According to legend, the Spanish heard of Bimini from indigenous peoples in Cuba and Puerto Rico. The Caribbean inlanders described the mythical land of Bimini or Bimini, a land of wealth and prosperity, which became conflicted with the fountain legend. By the time of Ponce de Leon, the land was thought to be located northwest towards the Bahamas. The natives were referring to the area occupied by the Maya. This land also became confused with the Boinca war, mentioned by Juan Solis. Also, Solis navigational data placed it in the Gulf of Honduras. It was Boinca that originally held a legendary fountain of youth rather than Bimini itself. Sequence, the chief of Cuba, purportedly was unable to resist the lure of Bimini and its restorative fountain. He gathered a troop of adventurers and still north never to return. While it is unknown whether any legend about the healing waters was widespread among the indigenous peoples of the Caribbean, the Italian-born historian Peter Martyr attached such a story drawn from ancient and medieval European sources to his account of 1514 voyage of Juan Diaz de Solis in a letter to the Pope in 1516. So he didn't believe the stories and was dismayed that so many others did. In the 16th century, the story of the Fountain of Youth became attached to a biography of the conquistador Juan Jones de Leon. As attested by his royal charter, Ponce de Leon was charged with discovering the land of Bimini. Although the indigenous peoples were primarily describing the land of the Maya, the name and legends about Bianca's Fountain of Youth become associated with the Bahamas instead. However, Ponce de Leon didn't mention the fountain in any of his writings throughout the course of his expedition. The connection was made in Xeno's book in 1535, in which he wrote that Leon was looking for the waters of Bimini to retain usefulness. Some researchers have suggested that his account may have been politically inspired to generate favor in the courts. A similar account appears in Francisco's book in 1551. In the memoir of him, the author places restorative waters in Florida and mentions the denial looking for them there. His account influenced others, many years has been the Indian captive ever been shipwrecked in Florida as a boy. In his memoir, he tells of the curative waters of the lost river he calls Jordan and refers to Daniel looking for it. However, he makes it clear he is skeptical about these stories he includes and says he doubts Daniel was actually looking for the fabled stream when he came to Florida. Harold makes that connection definite in the recognized versions of Neon story included in his book. He states that local captains paid close attention to it. A frail old man could become so completely restored that he could resume all many exercises, take a few wives, and beget more children. He adds that Spaniards have unsuccessfully searched every river, brook, lagoon, and whirlpool along the Florida coast for legendary fountain. The city of St. Augustine, Florida, is home to the Fountain of Youth, archaeological park attributed to the spot where Ponce de Leon was supposed to have landed according to a promotional literature, although there is no historical or archaeological evidence to support the claim. There were several instances of property being used as a attraction as early as the 1860s. The tourist attraction in its present form was created by Duana de Macano in 1904. Having been her practice as a physician in Chicago and gone to the Yukon during the Klondike Gold Rush of the 1890s, he purchased the power property in 1904 from Henry Williams, a British horticulturist, with cash and diamonds, for which he became known in St. Augustine as Diamond Leo. Around the year 1909, he began advertising the attraction, changing admission, and selling postcards and water from a well done in 1875 for Williams by Philip Gibbs and Philip Capul. She later claimed to have discovered a large growth made of Canadian rod, asserting it was placed there by Randall himself. He continued to fabricate stories to amaze all and oppose the city's residents and tourists until her death. You know, what her be transferred from also tells such stories. The first archaeological days as the Fountain of Youth were performed in 1934 by the Smithsonian Institution. These days released a large number of Christianized bureaus. These bureaus eventually point to the park as the location of the first Christian mission in the United States. Called the mission numbered the years. The mission was began by Franciscan friars in 1587. The unearthing of the items which possibly identify the park as the location of Augustine, the oldest continuously inhabited by European settlement in North America. The park currently exhibits native and colonial artifacts to celebrate Ponce de Leon and his friends. The founder of St. Augustine. Exhibits of this park are also on display. Well, if you find this video funny, just like, share, and subscribe.